Hey, everybody, welcome to the Xtreme Lyfe Podcast. This is Steve D, Xtreme Lyfe Media. Tonight, we are going to talk about this crazy weekend of fights that's coming up. It is going to be insane. We have tomorrow night, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, right? There's a lot of controversy around this fight. It's going to be a good one. I think, everybody's going to watch, whether you like it or not, you're going to probably watch it. So we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be talking about the co-main event, which is a great one. It's Serrano versus Taylor. And if you saw the first one, you're going to be like, I can't miss this one. I'm actually worried about the undercard, the co-main event overshadowing the main event, which is, insane when you think about that, right? But it's going to be that good. And I'm so happy these two are getting the spotlight they deserve in their boxing careers right now. We're also going to be talking about, of course, UFC 309, Stipe Miocic versus John Jones. This is another one that's a must watch. You can't miss it. Along with the co-main event, which is Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Those are great no-miss fight. You can't miss these fights. All right. So on the show tonight, I have Ray Flores, my brother from another mother. He's coming on. He's a world-renowned sports announcer, broadcaster, commentator. He's from PBC Boxing, Triller, you name it. He's been around forever, currently with One Champion MMA. He just got back from an event, commentating on an event, calling an event out there in Bangkok, literally off the plane, and still suffering from jet lag, looks like. So, Ray, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate it, and let's get rolling here.
On behalf of your host, Steve D, this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtreme Lyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtreme Lyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
What's up, Steve?
Yo, brother. What's happening?
How are you, man? Just recovering from jet lag, but doing well, man. How about yourself?
I appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a long time, my friend.
Yeah, man. Definitely, man. Way too long. Just to give you an idea, I'm a suffering Chicago Bears fan. I landed at 4:45 in the morning on Sunday after our event, dropped my bags off at home, met my dad, my uncle, my brother up, went to go tailgate, and then went to the game. So it was like literally I got home after like a 28-hour journey and went right to the game. So I'm a gamer, bro.
You're a trooper, man. You're a trooper, and you always are. So I don't know how you do it, man. You do a lot of traveling, man. You were in Tokyo not that long ago, right? Or China?
Yeah, so we were in Tokyo earlier this year with One Championship. Had an awesome main event with Takeru and Super Like that really just brought the house down. We were in Qatar as well for One Championship, and then on the PBC side, did a couple of several events in Las Vegas and stuff. So been a lot of fun, man.
Dude, you're on a whirlwind, man, and on a tear. You've been, since I met you, you've pretty much just been like go. I think the pandemic slowed you down a little bit,
yeah.
But I think that was just a skid, and then you right back into the mix.
Yeah, 4 months, bro, and I was like, man, let's go, let's get back to work. There's so much to do.
I hear you, man. You got a lot of energy, man. That's the thing, and you're passionate about the sport. So yeah, I think that's important, right? So,
sure, man.
Well, it's good to see you, man. It's good to see
Likewise.
you.
So, a lot of stuff happening in your neck of the woods, huh?
Jesus, yeah, man, it's crazy over here this weekend. We have the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. We have UFC 309, Stipe Miocic versus John Jones, which insane, right? The whole thing is just crazy over here. So, I guess we could kind of start with we'll head right into Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. This has been a long time coming. And there's a lot of
we get it.
perspectives here, right? There's a lot of different perspectives. Some people view, like Jake Paul's, he's a YouTuber. He doesn't even belong there. Some people are on the other side of that saying, well, the guy's got some skills and he's showing it. So, what do you think about this fight in general?
Look, I think that if you're expecting Hagler Hearns, this is not going to be that particular fight.
Yeah.
But it is something that is intriguing because you know you're going to get entertainment in some way, shape, and form. Like Jake Paul is a naturally born entertainer. Fighter, yes, but he's an entertainer. That's why he's such a huge social media superstar. And I don't throw that term around lightly, but he truly is. Then you have Mike Tyson, a guy who is beloved anywhere you go. I mean, it's like all you have to do is say the name Tyson and people know who you're talking about. I mean, and what he did in his career, obviously a legendary Hall of Fame career, revered by so many, the youngest heavyweight champion ever in history, a feat that I don't think will ever be touched.
Nope.
What he was able to do when it comes to bringing eyeballs to the sport of boxing and just being this polarizing figure and really has continued to be in the spotlight well into his retirement. His last fight was in 2005, 19 years ago.
Yeah.
And he is as relevant, if not more popular than what he was back during his peak.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, going ahead and fighting a guy that's like well beyond over half his age, younger than him,
Yep.
and to be able to draw the kind of eyeballs that will be on this event tomorrow is remarkable. I just hope on both sides, because I know people have been saying like, oh, well, I want Mike Tyson to knock out Jake Paul, or people are like, you know, Jake's going to, you know, knock out Mike Tyson. At the end of the day, Steve, I just want, because I know both guys, I want both guys to be healthy and safe after the fight. I mean, look, you know, knockout, whatever, but I don't want to see anyone get seriously hurt.
Yeah, no, I think I could definitely get with that, and I think most people, most sane people are probably saying the same thing, right? Regardless of how it turns out, we don't want to see anybody injured. We don't want to see anybody hurt permanently or seriously for any, in any way, shape, or form. It's one of those fights where it's like, a lot of people are like, should it happen? Should it not happen? I mean, this stuff's been going on for a while. Mike Tyson, I think, is what, 57 now?
57.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's in boxing, that's elderly, right? So,
it's like, look, here's what I'm going to tell people. Like, is this going to be, I mean, we have, in one championship, we have two of the, incredible strikers, Rateng and Super. Like, their first fight was unbelievable. And both guys are just superstars. Is this going to be Rateng and Superleg? No, but it's going to be just something different. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. And people are curious about it. So I'm curious to see what the numbers are going to be like after this, Steve.
Oh, it's going to be huge. I think people are going to, regardless of what people say, because there's people on the internet saying, I'm looking at some of it right now. People are saying, we don't want to, I mean, we're not watching. This is one of those kind of things. But I guarantee you those same people are going to watch this fight,
Everyone's going to watch. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, the only way I wouldn't have been watching is if I was traveling. But I mean, like, I'm going to watch for sure,
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I watch all combat sports. I support them all. I mean, they're great.
Oh, me too, me too, man. I really try to get into as many as I can. And what, my biggest problem is time, right? I think that's everybody.
Time.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, how do I can sit here and consume all of this, but then I don't get anything else done. So it's a matter of, just trying to make sure you got to sometimes be a little picky and specific, but this is definitely a big, I mean, this whole weekend is huge, all around the board. So, Mike Tyson, I mean, I watched some of his training tape. I've been watching the work up to it. They got like a little podcast episode thing going on, documentary happening on Netflix regarding this fight, and I've been watching some of that. I mean, Tyson looks great. I mean, I got to say, he does look good. I mean, find another 57-year-old who's going to be able to punch like that in any, no matter what, athlete or not, elite athlete or not, you're never going to find that, right? The guy's just definitely still a beast and a monster. If you get caught by one of them hooks, man, or an uppercut, you're not going to wake up today.
He's still Mike Tyson. And the last thing to go when it comes to any fighter, especially any great fighter like him, is power. I
Yep.
mean, he still got power. And I mean, just, athletically, what he was able to do in his career. And I know that I'm hearkening back to
Yeah.
years past, but it's like he did things physically that were almost impossible against these gigantic, massive heavyweights. So if he even gets back to that level and lands on the button with Jake Paul, I think people are going to be curious. Can he land a clean shot on Jake Paul? Because Jake's going to land,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's like, how's it going to work if Mike Tyson lands one big shot? Like, we're going to see tomorrow night.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's going to be a lot of times you look at this, the longer the fight goes on, the more it's in Jake Paul's favor, right? I
Yeah.
think if that fight, Tyson to go in there, do what he always did back in the day, pressure him and just find that one clean shot. And I think if he lands it, he ends it, right? But, it's just a matter of him getting that shot, putting that pressure on, finding some of that old. And I think that's probably going to be his game plan, in my opinion. His game plan is going to be come in like just a beast and try to push him against, just push him around like he
Yeah,
did.
definitely.
I remember people getting in the ring. I mean, I watched Tyson since I was young, right? Watching him get in the ring and do damage to people. And I used to watch like in the face in the when they're doing the touch gloves and everybody's reading the announcer's doing his thing, and you know people were afraid. You could see it in some of the other fighters, man. It's like you're afraid of what's going to happen next, you know?
Absolutely. And you just, you felt that people told me that they were there when Tyson made his pro debut and that you felt this aura of like violence about to happen. And Mike Tyson is going to make one more ring walk, and that's tomorrow night. And you know what? It's going to be cool to see it. But then again, the bell's going to ring, and we're going to see, how much he still has left. I hope it's honestly, I hope it's only one. I hope that this is like, okay, get in there, do it, because let's say he's successful, which could happen.
Yeah,
Can
it
you
could.
imagine him saying, "Hey, I want to do it again"? You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It's just like, please have it to be one and done,
yeah,
because I don't want to see Mike Tyson, even though he might look really good,
yeah.
but I just worry about his safety. That's all.
Well, I think that's the sentiment a lot of people have, right? And I think if you said that to Mike, he'd probably be like, "What are you talking about?" Right? But he would probably get offended and mad at you, right? If
Yeah.
you said that. But the thing is, I think that's just you can't argue with age, right? You can't argue with it. I mean, there is certain risks that come with it, regardless of what kind of condition you're in. You get hit with one good shot in the wrong place, and that's any age pretty much. But as you get older, I think that becomes more of a thing. That becomes more, problems with CTE, things like that. You could start to really, you just get your bell rung really good, and
Absolutely.
that could be a life changer, right? Nobody wants to see that. So Jake Paul as well, though. I mean, I'll tell you what, he's a YouTuber. I'm not a huge fan of Jake Paul. I'll say that straight up. I don't. I think he's a YouTube guy. I think he does have definite boxing skills. There's skills
Yeah.
there. Now, the argue is he on the level of some of these other guys that are out there, doing their thing, right? Some real pros that are out there, not, you know, um, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but not somebody who's 57 years old, not somebody who's a wrestler, somebody who's a real pro boxer. Like, how would he do against some of those guys? I don't know, and that's the thing. I mean, it's really hard to say what this looks like in the long term, but I think, there's no arguing that he has a lot of skills, and he also has a lot of training. He's got a lot of really good trainers around him. He's got people
Definitely.
working with him. I mean, he's got the money to do all that, right? So he's got all this stuff going on. So he's obviously, there's a lot of good stuff going on around him in that way where, there's a serious shot that he could pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, look, he definitely invests in himself, and I think that's so important because he does have quality trainers and strength and conditioning coach Larry Wade, who I think is
Yeah.
phenomenal, the best in the sport. He has a good brain trust there, but also, what people need to understand is that when they talk about the Paul brothers being just these social media guys, it's like, well, they got popular on social media, but they're former state champion high school wrestlers from Ohio.
Yep.
So you got to be a very good athlete to be able to win a state wrestling championship in Ohio. And he's very good athletically. Like, I've talked to his trainers, I've talked to those that have sparred him, and he's very good athletically. He picks up on things quickly. He's got punching power. He's fast, and he's trying to speed up this process of trying to get this ring IQ. But I think so far so good with the guys that he's fought. Now, I will tell you, assuming he's victorious, in Arlington, I think the public is going to call on him to rematch with Tommy Fury, which he lost to, that I called in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, or for him to fight another, higher level kind of a boxer. I think that is going to be what is next for Jake Paul.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot you called that fight.
Yeah, in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia with Sean Porter and Larry Wade. So
usually I know what you're up to, man.
But, it was that was a fun atmosphere, fantastic fight. And honestly, I'll be honest, Steve, I hope that they do it again because Tommy Fury and Jake Paul was a razor. It was a very close fight, split decision that went to Tommy Fury's way. But I'm sure Jake would want to avenge that loss.
Yeah, well, there were people being very skeptical on that fight too, right? Because some people were like, "Well, Tommy Fury is a legit fighter. He comes from a legit fighting family.
Yes,
the whole family. It's like he's not one of those guys are real boxers, right? So for Jake Paul to even step in the ring, for him to even step in the ring tomorrow night with Tyson is a huge hey, I don't know if I would do it.
Can you imagine? This kid is really taking a massive gamble, and he's always gambled on himself, and it's paid off. But here's the deal. He's going in there against Mike Tyson. In my opinion, and I think that if he beats Mike Tyson, I think he should still get the credit that he deserves because he stepped in there against Mike Tyson. But what I'm concerned about, and I'm not a Jake Paul defender here, so I don't want you to think that. I'm just, literally speaking, giving you my opinion is that if he knocks out Mike Tyson, people are going to say, well, he knocked out a guy almost 60. Yeah. If he loses, he'll never hear the end of it, ever. Or if he doesn't even look good, if he allows Tyson to land a couple big shots, he'll never hear the end of it. Yeah. So he's in a no-win situation. He's going to get paid, believe me. And obviously, he's one of the richest fighters right now in combat sports. But, here's the thing. He's in a no-win situation aside from the financial standpoint. So that's curious to look at as we head into the matchup.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you too. Is there a win situation for him in this? Because I was like, whatever he does, he's still going to, people are going to hate him no matter what. People are going to, no matter what happens. If he goes out, and beats, the champ right now, they're still going to hate on him. It doesn't matter. Right? So, it's kind of like, if he goes out and beats Tyson Fury, right? Which I don't know that would happen. But if he goes out and beats him, people are still going to say something's wrong with it, right? So, I just don't think there's a win-win situation here for him. And I think he knows it. And I think he's just made peace with it and doesn't really care. He's just you become the guy you love to hate, right?
Exactly.
And you need that, I guess. We all need that, right? We need that person to, we need the person to root for and the person to root against, right? So it's he's become that person. He's taken it on. He's taken on a persona, and he's embracing it.
Well, he's still so young. That's the thing. He's 27, and he just understands it. He is one of those guys that just performs very well under the lights, whether it be press conferences, interviews. Whenever there's a camera on, he just gets it. It's like he understands show business. Yeah. And he's such a polarizing figure. And whether you love him or you hate him, guess what? You're going to be paying attention to what he's doing because you're curious about it.
Well, it's like the old days. I remember Howard Stern. Remember Stern in the old days? Why do people listen to people who hated him listened to him longer than people who loved him, right? Man, so it's it's kind of that same kind of effect that's happening, right? If you don't like him, you're going to watch because you want to see him get his block knocked off, and if you do love him, you're going to watch it because you want to see him succeed. So it's kind of one of those situations there. So you're going to watch regardless. What about that undercard fight though? Taylor versus Serrano.
What a great fight, man. And you know what? I'm so happy for both because they're getting unbelievably high purses for this. Yep. Good for them. For them to be able to be on the co-main event where people are going to be watching and really focused on what's going to happen in the main event, I think they very well could steal the show because they're both so talented. They had an amazing first fight. at
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden. I mean, and I think this one could be even better than the first. And I mean, talk about, I'm very big on loving to see progression. So we've seen progression all over in combat sports. So when it comes to one championship with our women's Muay Thai submission grappling, I mean, really making, we just debuted a women's strawweight kickboxing matchup with the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, how much the
Yep.
WNBA is prospering. And now this on this undercard. I mean, women's sports right now is, I think, the hottest it's ever been or at its all-time peak and only getting better, and good for them. But I think Taylor and Serrano are really going to put on something special. But I give a slight edge to Amanda Serrano because I think Serrano is going to go in there and try to avenge that loss with a great deal of urgency.
Well, yeah, and then that fight, the first fight was such a good fight. They, I mean, that was such a good fight between them, and that they were at it, right? So I mean, it's like to see part two of that, to see that come back together again, and then you see maybe Serrano wins, right? If Serrano wins this fight, which very well may happen because the last one was pretty, pretty
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Um, if she comes in, I think she's going to come in exactly like you said. I think she's going to come in with work to do. She's going to come in with that mindset, like, and you got the biggest spotlight on it right now. And it's so great that I think you got to give Jake Paul some credit here because he was the one who kind of pulled that together and said, I want to give these two the spotlight they deserve and the biggest purse we can give them in boxing, which I think is great because you just don't see it. And, for them, it's going to be a victory, no matter what, no matter how it turns out, it's a victory for both. Honestly, I'd like to see Serrano come in there and either way, whoever wins. I mean, if Serrano wins, then there's going to probably be a three-peat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you have to do a trilogy if Serrano comes out victorious.
Yeah, you got to kind of do the see who's the winner there in that trilogy. But it's definitely one of those things where I think it's definitely one to watch. I think, like you said, it might even overshadow the main event with how
Yeah,
that fight's going to go because they're both straight up killers.
absolutely. And they're going to be so amped up, Steve. And really, I think we're going to get an even more exciting matchup in this second fight because I think Serrano's going to really go right after. She's going to step on the gas from the second the bell rings to the time the final bell sounds.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. And, what do you think each one has to do to win that fight? I mean, do you have an idea on what do you think from either Serrano or, geez.
Yeah, Katie Taylor. I think if you're
Yeah.
Amanda
Okay.
Serrano,
I don't know why
you
I just
gotta
blanked on it.
get on the inside. You really have to get on the inside. You have to try to rough her up and just be busy. When it comes to Katie Taylor, stay on the outside, use her jab, set traps, try to have her come to you, counter her, and just utilize your pinpoint accuracy to be able to demonstrate that you are the superior pure boxer. I think with Serrano, it's going to be, you really have to dig deep. And I think she is. I think it's going to be an emotional fight for her because it is, this big stage. Jake Paul has certainly believed in her quite a bit and has invested a lot in her. And I know that it means a lot for her to fight on the same card as Jake. So with her getting this co-main event spot, I think she's really going to be just so motivated and come and fight with this aggression that we've never seen before. So she's going to be more in terms of utilizing your emotions to bring out the best in you, whereas Katie Taylor needs to utilize her ring wits and keep and fight a smart tactical fight and not allow Amanda Serrano to take her into those deep waters and affect her. So I think those are the two schools of philosophy.
Yeah, no, I think that's great insight on that because Serrano, I think to win needs to keep Taylor on her heels and push her backwards because it's hard to knock somebody out when you're going backwards.
Definitely.
It's really hard to do that. You don't get that power from doing that. And on the other hand, Taylor does need to utilize her tactical skills and just be able to use that technique to keep Serrano off of her long enough to be able to land those punches.
Yeah, keep her at bay. That's what Katie Taylor needs to focus.
Keep her on the outside.
Yeah. Keep her on the outside at the end of the jab.
That's it. The keep her where the snap is, right? Who used to say that? I forget. But
Absolutely.
so and then we got. I mean, we have to talk about UFC 309.
Yeah.
So Jones versus Stipe Miocic. What are your thoughts on this fight?
I mean, I think it's an excellent fight. I mean, you look at, John Jones, who is, one of, the all-time, I would say that John Jones, and I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, Steve, so you bear with me.
It's all right,
So,
man.
so,
Hey,
so,
brother,
pe-
I'm
so
I'm with you. Go
people,
ahead.
no, but people need to be kind to me here, but this is the truth. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson to me is the greatest of all time. Number two is John Jones.
Yep.
So I think John Jones is right behind Mighty Mouse as being the greatest of all time. He's the second GOAT, but that's okay. There's only one Michael Jordan, and Mighty Mouse Johnson is it. But John Jones against Stipe, very interesting. We haven't seen Stipe in over 3 years
Yep.
compete, but Stipe is a massive, strong, powerful, dangerous, nasty heavyweight.
Yeah.
John Jones is just an athletic marvel, only continues to get better. Where he's going to be fighting at MSG. He's never done that before. It means a lot to him. I mean, I'm very interested to seeing how this one plays out.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think it's going to be a great fight. A lot of people are making comments about Jones and the finger pokes. We'll have to see what happens there,
Yeah,
but I think, I mean, Stipe, obviously amazing fighter. So is Jones, and I agree with you. I think Jones is. I would say I will go even further. People are going to hate on me for saying this. He's one of the greatest, right? I don't know exactly where he sits, but I think he's definitely, Joe. You can't argue with his record. You can't argue with what he's done. You can't argue with the things he's pulled off in his career and how he's fought, and the people he's fought. He's turned nobody down. He's just went at people, and that's it, and he's been great at using. I think Jones is a master at using his length and using
yes.
using that, keeping people out of that range. My thought is Stipe needs to get on the inside and just try to maul him in the inside and stay out of that outside range where John Jones is so dangerous.
Anyway, how John looked against Cyril Gahn and making it that quick was just, I
Yeah,
mean, mind blowing. It really, really was. So,
yeah,
Stipe is going to have to make this and try to put all of his frame on John Jones and really sort of gut this one out and have it to be a physically, grueling fight on John Jones if he's to get the win. Now, can he knock him out? Yeah, probably. I mean,
yeah,
he's Stipe and he's got power in that right hand, and John Jones is very aware of that. But it's
yeah.
going to be very telling to see who can utilize their game plan because both guys are so talented.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing that's, tough about Jones is, I said he uses that length and he's a master at that, and that's true, but he's also one of those guys that he could pretty much do what he wants to do.
Yeah,
He could go, he could fight on the inside a bit too. He could also go to the ground. I mean, he's done it all, and he's good. He's proficient at all of it, right? He's one of those all-around skilled fighters.
and he
So
doesn't waste much motion at all.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And he's just one of those guys that you got to really be careful if you're in the cage with him. And Stipe, like I said, he's another one, and I'm a huge fan of Stipe. I love his. He's just. I think Stipe is just an all around good guy, right? So I really just all around like the guy. But he's an incredible fighter with a ton of power and a ton of ability to kind of, get you into positions that you don't want to be in.
Absolutely. And also, I'm curious to see how the octagon rust is going to affect him. So he hasn't been in the octagon in over 3 years. Is
Yep.
that going to play a factor? Because against a guy like John Jones, you can't afford to have any rust at all.
No, and Jones, I mean, when was the last fight with Cyril Gahn? That was a year ago, right? About
Yeah, like a year ago, somewhere around there, maybe
yeah,
over a year ago.
yeah, a little bit over probably. But before that, he had a huge layoff for a
Yeah,
while.
exactly.
And he
So
and he came back in and he was just a monster, right? He just came in and destroyed. And a lot of people were wondering, how's he going to do in that heavyweight with that extra weight on? He seems to be okay there. He seems to be all right. So we'll have to see what he does with Stipe.
yeah, he's handling it. So we'll see if he can handle Stipe in front of his hometown fans.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And on that, there's an undercard. Michael Chandler versus Oliveira. What are your thoughts?
What
That's
a
a
great
great
fight.
fight.
Oh man, I mean, just these two guys are just going to go at it. I mean, and you know that. I mean, Oliveira, what he was able to do over the course of his career being a world champion. And Michael Chandler, I mean, I almost feel for the guy in the sense that he was waiting for Conor McGregor and waiting for Conor, waiting for Conor, waiting for Conor. And then the fight was like somewhat on at some point to a degree and really sort of hit the skids when the press conference in Ireland didn't happen. So I really feel for him. But now he has an opportunity to be, a guy that so many people revere and respect in the UFC. And Charles Oliveira, it's not going to be easy, but I think these two, give us something pretty special.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think this is going to be a really good fight with two incredible fighters. The encounters, these guys have been in, and the fights that they've, fought in have just been incredible. And, they're both incredibly talented fighters. And, I'm wondering what do you think, each one has to do? What do you think Oliveira has to do to pull this one off?
I mean, not really necessarily get hit by the big,
Not get
bricks in the
big
hands
yeah.
by Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
And for Michael Chandler, he's got to be able to, be weary of, Oliveira's experience. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that, and I know Michael Chandler is very experienced as well, but man, Oliveira has been in there against everybody. I
Hmm.
mean, literally everybody. So, if you're Oliveira, you want to stay away from the big power shots of Chandler, and you want to be able to pick your spots and try to frustrate Michael Chandler. Maybe even take this one to the mat, because I would consider that Oliveira's ground game is better than that of Michael Chandler. If you're Michael Chandler, keep yourself at bay, use that jab, and try to just keep landing big shots, and also go to the body.
Yeah.
Try to take some steam out of the sails of Charles Oliveira.
Yeah. Yeah.
And keep this fight on the feet.
Keep it on the feet, right? Because if it goes to the ground, it changes the game a little bit. The last one, I guess I want to just see what your thoughts are on Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. What do you think?
Well, Weidman's back. I mean, former world champion. I know he hasn't necessarily had, the most sustained success over, the last couple of years, but, to see him back is going to be interesting, because, he's beloved by, the fans there in New York. And, this might be one of the final times that he steps inside the octagon. So I
Yeah.
just hope that, again, he, at this point of his career, I just hope that he doesn't get seriously hurt. I hope it's a competitive fight. And then, regardless, hopefully, either if he wins impressively, probably come back again. But I just hope that he doesn't get seriously hurt, because I've seen too many, situations where, he hasn't necessarily looked the best, and now he gets another opportunity. Hopefully it's a good one. And then, we see what happens next. But I would I just want to make sure he's all right.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And how do you think that previous, I mean, that leg injury he got was pretty severe?
That's tough. And I mean, just goes to show you the kind of toughness and how great of athletes these fighters are, because, that would end someone's career, and he's back, fighting, for the UFC. So
Not many people come back from an injury like that, because that one's like,
no,
that was pretty awful. And I'm just wondering how it might play out in this event, if it's going to be any kind of factor, because it wasn't that long ago.
yeah,
But we'll have to see. I guess we'll have to see what happens on that one, and go from there. But very exciting, uh, you know, weekend coming up. Everybody should really, if you can watch both of these, do it.
yeah.
Because these are two events that, in my opinion, are probably, I mean, they're just stacked right next to each other too, which is insane.
Hey, Steve, and you know what? This is a weekend for combat sports fans, but I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to give you a little something that you can do in between these events. So what you can do is, because everyone has Amazon Prime, and
Yep.
One Championship is on Prime Video. Go back if you haven't watched, or you want to watch again. Watch 169 from last Friday. The fights were unbelievable, man. My head exploded calling these fights. We have the first African one world champion in a rug, Umar Khan, who beat the great Anatoly Malik. And they're going to greet him, at the airport tomorrow in Senegal. The guy's a superstar, man. I mean, talk about being like, the biggest sports symbol in the country. That's Rug Umar Khan. Ratang, who I mentioned, is one of the greatest strikers on the planet. Had a very quality performance against, Jacob Smith from England. We made history with the one strawweight kickboxing world championship. So do that in between those events. Watch it on Prime Video. And then gear up, man. December 6th, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific time on Prime Video. We have One Fight Night 26, the return of Christian Lee, who is, the lightweight king. He's been away for over 2 years, coming back to taking on a very talented number one contender, Alibeg Rasulov. We got Danielle Kelly, Mesa Bastos, Submission Grappling World Championship. The fights are stacked from top to bottom, man. I'm telling you, we are closing out 2024 with a bang with one championship. Go back and watch that replay before you get ready for these other events this week, Steve, I'll give you a quick little thing. I'm going to give you someone to look out for in the infancy of their pro MMA career. From the United States, Cade Rotolo. The kid is unbelievable, man. He's the one lightweight submission grappling world champion. He just had his second fight in MMA on Friday night at 169. Go back and watch his performance. He is a superstar in the making. Him and his brother, it's Cade Rotolo, Ty Rotolo, but Cade is the one right now in MMA. But look at the performance of Cade Rotolo. He's the next big thing in MMA, bro.
I will definitely check that out because, I trust you, man. And I know when you say something like that, you're right on point. So, no, definitely. And, I encourage everybody to go check it out. And then, check out the fights this weekend as well. And, Ray, it's always awesome having you on. I love our conversations and, I'm sure we're going to, I'm ramping things back up again. I've taken a little break from the podcast, but we're back up again and we're moving. And, I hope to, have you on again soon, and we'll see some more great fights coming up going forward in both the end of this year and next year, hopefully.
Definitely, man. Anytime you need me, Steve, keep up the great work, but a lot of fun stuff coming, especially with one championship, bro. It is the world's largest martial arts organization. We're making some big moves, getting ready for 2025, but ending 2024 with fight fans around the world to be happy about. So we got you guys covered, bro.
Ray, I'll catch you soon, my brother. And, you keep up the good work too, man, and get some rest. I know you've been running around the world, man.
You know it, man. Have a great one, my friend. And if I don't talk to you before the holidays, happy holidays to you, your family, all your viewers. All the best, and wishing you nothing but a wonderful, happy holiday season.
You too, my brother. Be good.
Take care, man. All the best. Later.